Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy every counterfeit version of it. It's strange how the things we can hold in our hands often feel more real than the things we carry in our hearts. Until one day, we notice our hands are full, but our hearts are empty. We've all heard the phrase, money can't buy happiness. It moves through conversations like background music, familiar, agreeable, safe. We nod without thinking. The way you nod at a weather report, you already know. And yet after years of watching how people live and how I've lived, I've come to believe something a little different. Money can't buy happiness. Yes, but it can buy almost every convincing imitation of it. The trouble is, the imitations are so beautifully made, so skillfully wrapped, that we sometimes go decades without realizing we've been collecting replicas instead of the original. Years ago, I met Daniel, not a billionaire, but wealthy enough to live in a bubble where everyday inconveniences dissolved before they reached him. If a hotel was booked, a suite appeared. If a restaurant had a wait list, a table was suddenly available. If a flight was oversold, a seat, often the best seat, would open. Daniel's life looked effortless. His clothes whispered luxury without screaming it. His laughter was warm, his stories vivid. I thought, here is a happy man. One night, in the half-light of a quiet bar, he told me about the house he'd built. 5 bedrooms, a pool, glass walls, that caught the afternoon light like liquid gold. Then he admitted, I don't use most of the rooms, I open them when guests visit. The house isn't for living in, it's for being seen in. It struck me he had built a stage, not a home. The props were perfect, the performance convincing, but there was no audience inside himself. Money is clever, it can't produce love, but it can by the gestures that mimic it. It can't give you belonging, but it can buy curated circles where everyone dresses the part. It can't grant peace, but it can buy quiet retreats that feel like it. The danger isn't in buying these things. The danger is in how isolated they pass for the real thing. They give you a rush, like counterfeit bills, that fool even trained eyes. You unwrap the gift, feel the pride of ownership, enjoy the admiring glances, and for a while, you believe. But they need constant renewal, and in time, you become addicted to the transaction itself. Real happiness is slow, like bread rising, like a friendship deepening over years. The counterfeits are fast, sweet, bright, and short. Live. Claire, a friend of mine, once confessed, I shop when I feel empty, and for the first hour, maybe 2, I feel full. Then the emptiness comes back, stronger. We live in a world built to sell the sugar to the soul. Phones promise connection, but deepen loneliness. Social media promises recognition, but feeds insecurity. Luxury promises fulfillment, but delivers distraction. Counterfeit happiness changes your taste. Once you grow used to the rush of the fake, the real feels muted. Slow mornings seem dull, deep work feels exhausting, simple joys taste like nothing. It's like drinking syrup every day. Water loses its appeal. The more we consume imitations, the less we remember how to feed ourselves with the real thing. And the hungrier we become, the sweeter the counterfeit tastes. I grew up in a home where happiness came without receipts. My father's stories, my mother's laughter at burnt rice, summer nights chasing fireflies. One birthday, my parents had no money for a gift. They made a treasure hunt, the prize, a notebook and pencil. The real gift, the love in every clue. They wrote, in a culture of imitation, happiness, joy feels like something you can upgrade. A better phone, a newer car, a bigger home. Each upgrade delivers a thrill, then fades. The next one is always the one, until it the way someone's eyes soften when they feel understood. The warmth of a hand in grief. The morning light spilling into your kitchen. You can't buy them, you can only notice them. Real happiness trades in time. Attention, vulnerability. It's slow wealth, not counted in numbers but in moments. Once on a long train ride, I sat across from a woman in her 70s. She carried a simple cloth bag, worn at the edges. Inside was a thermos, a sandwich wrapped in paper, and a photograph. One point, she pulled out the photograph and smiled at it for minutes at a time. It was a picture of her and a man, perhaps her husband, standing in a garden. We spoke. She told me he had passed years ago. This picture, she said, cost nothing, but it holds everything. No amount of money could buy what she held in her hands. It wasn't the paper, the ink, or the scene. It was the years lived together, the quiet mornings, the shared meals. In a city I visited, there was a man known for his rare talent. He could work anywhere, no noise, distracted. I'm curious. I asked how he did it. He smiled and said, I don't block out the noise. I listen for what matters. That same week, I met another man, wealthy, impatient, who had built an entire soundproof room in his house because the world felt too loud. He had the silence, but he couldn't find the peace. On a rainy evening, I stopped under a small awning to escape the downpour. A street musician played the violin. Not for money, it seemed, but for himself. His case was open. but no one stopped to drop coins. Still, he played with a joy that filled the space between the raindrops. I thought, this is the kind of happiness you can't buy. Not because it's rare, but because it depends on nothing outside of itself. In a small park, I saw a family sharing a picnic, mismatched containers, homemade food. Their laughter rose like a song without an audience. Not a single part of that afternoon could be purchased. You could buy the same blanket, the same food, even hire actors to pretend, but you couldn't buy the years of knowing each other's stories, the private jokes, the unspoken trust. George Lorimer once wrote, "It's good to have money and the things money can buy, but it's good too to check once in a while that you haven't lost the things money can't buy." That check is harder than it sounds, because the imitations are easier to obtain, faster to deliver, and quieter in their emptiness. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy every convincing version of it. And if you're not careful, you might fill your life with replicas, only to find you never held the original. So when the party ends, when the lights go out, when your possessions sit silently in their places, will you feel full, or will you find your hands full and your heart empty?